Imagine a city built of stone, a sprawling metropolis in southern Africa, abandoned centuries ago, its origins shrouded in mystery. This is Great Zimbabwe. Who built this impressive monument? And why was it abandoned? For years, colonial narratives denied its African origins, pushing racist theories about foreign builders. But the truth, etched in the stones themselves, tells a very different story. Great Zimbabwe lies in southeastern Zimbabwe, near the modern town of Masvingo. It is not just a collection of ruins, it is the largest archaeological stone complex in sub-Saharan Africa. The name Zimbabwe itself comes from the Shona phrase Zimbadzomabwe, meaning houses of stone. Construction began roughly in the 11th century and continued until the 15th. The city reached its peak between 1300 and 1450 CE. By the mid-15th century, however, Great Zimbabwe was largely abandoned. The people who built Great Zimbabwe were the ancestors of the Shona-speaking peoples, a fact now confirmed by archaeological and historical evidence. Yet, for decades, this truth was obscured by prejudice and colonial agendas. Great Zimbabwe is composed of three main architectural groups: the Great Enclosure, the Hill Complex, and the Valley Enclosures. The Great Enclosure is perhaps the most iconic, with its massive dry stone walls reaching up to 11 meters high in places and stretching for hundreds of meters. This structure alone is a testament to the builder's skill and ambition. The Hill Complex, perched atop a steep granite hill, likely served as an elite or ritual area, offering commanding views of the surrounding landscape. The Valley Enclosures, located below, are associated with elite housing, storage, and other domestic activities. Great Zimbabwe was not just a center of power, it was also an economic hub. The city thrived on regional cattle wealth, gold production, and long-distance trade. Archaeological finds include Chinese ceramics, Persian or Islamic glass beads, and other goods from the Indian Ocean trade network. However, Great Zimbabwe was not a port city itself. It was strategically situated inland, linked to the Swahili coast through a complex network of trade routes. The rulers of Great Zimbabwe controlled more than just stone. They controlled cattle, gold circulation, access to trade networks, and ritual authority. In essence, Great Zimbabwe was a politico-religious capital, a place where power, wealth, and spirituality converged. Among the most important artifacts found at Great Zimbabwe are the soapstone Zimbabwe birds. These carvings are thought to have had symbolic or royal significance. Today, these birds are a central national symbol, appearing on Zimbabwe's flag and coat of arms. Great Zimbabwe was not an isolated phenomenon. It was part of a broader landscape of related sites, including Mapungubwe to the south and later Komi. These sites represent a sequence of shifting political centers in southern Africa, each building upon the legacy of the last. Population estimates for Great Zimbabwe vary, but at its height, the city likely supported thousands of inhabitants. It was not a tightly packed modern city, but rather a sprawling complex of structures and settlements. Great Zimbabwe stands as undeniable proof that large-scale state systems, elite power, and monumental architecture developed in Africa without foreign interference. It is a testament to the ingenuity and skill of the Shona people. For decades, colonial writers denied African authorship of the site. Some attributed it to Phoenicians, biblical figures, Arab traders, or even a lost white civilization. Karl Marx, a German explorer who visited the site in 1871, promoted the idea that it had foreign origins. These ideas, though later discredited, had a long-lasting impact on how Great Zimbabwe was perceived. During the colonial era, minimizing African achievements was common practice, as it served to justify colonial rule. The story of Great Zimbabwe became a central battleground in the history of African historical interpretation. Its recognition as an African-built city reshaped scholarship on African urbanism, indigenous statecraft, and trade and economy in medieval Africa. After Zimbabwe gained independence in 1980, the site became a powerful symbol of national identity. The very name Zimbabwe was adopted by the modern state, reflecting the importance of this ancient city to the nation's heritage. Great Zimbabwe is not just a symbol for Zimbabwe, it also holds regional importance. It demonstrates that Southern Africa was integrated into Indian Ocean commerce centuries before European colonialism. Today, Great Zimbabwe is a major tourist destination and a centerpiece of Zimbabwe's cultural economy. However, it also faces challenges related to conservation, funding, local community benefit, and heritage management. Great Zimbabwe is often used in modern African scholarship to advocate for African-centered history, indigenous innovation, and the rejection of colonial-era pseudo-history. It stands alongside places like Meroe, Aksum, Gedi, and Benin as evidence of pre-colonial African complexity and innovation. One of the biggest controversies surrounding Great Zimbabwe was the denial of African authorship. Early European writers often attributed the site to various foreign groups, reflecting racist assumptions about African capabilities. Cecil Rhodes's suppression further exacerbated this issue. During the colonial period, African achievements were often minimized to justify settler ideology. Even today, debates continue over the exact political organization of the site, how authority was inherited, why the capital declined, and the precise meaning of some symbolic elements. However, the core issue of who built it is settled: local African builders. In some periods, heritage narratives were selectively framed to emphasize national unity while downplaying local community histories and contested land memory around the site. Great Zimbabwe is the story of a medieval African capital that colonial powers tried to reassign to outsiders. Built between the 11th and 15th centuries, peaking around 1300–1450, it was the center of a powerful Shona-linked polity that controlled gold, cattle, and trade across southern Africa and the Indian Ocean world. The dry stone walls, some reaching about 11 meters high, still stand as proof that Africans built one of the continent's great urban civilizations. The real mystery is not who built it, but how its political system worked so successfully and why it eventually shifted or declined by the 15th century. The abandonment of Great Zimbabwe remains a subject of ongoing research. What factors contributed to its decline? Was it environmental degradation, political instability, or a shift in trade routes? The answers may lie hidden in the stones themselves, waiting to be uncovered. While the mystery of its full history remains unsolved, one thing is clear: Great Zimbabwe is a powerful symbol of African ingenuity, resilience, and cultural pride, forever challenging the narratives of colonial distortion.